there's a couple of things that we can learn from my career. Your career journey, your life journey will be perfectly imperfect. But one thing can give you the cutting edge on overcoming anything that comes your way. And it's simply to expect obstacles and challenges to be a part of your journey. It sounds super simple, but when we expect there to be some brick walls, when they appear, they don't catch us off guard, right? Pretty simple, but we don't stop to think about it sometimes. When I look back on my career journey, I say, how did I keep doing it? How did I keep taking on all these obstacles? All I did was continue to take small steps in the right direction. And I think that you can be unstoppable too. All we have to do is take those small steps. They add up, guys. And I have some amazing news for you. Your UMass degree is going to open up incredible doors. I want to share with you what was on the other side of earning my degree. Since earning my MPH, I have been able to design community wellness programs. I sat for my Certified Health Education Specialist credential and passed with flying colors. I've coordinated grants for the CDC, county school systems, healthcare systems, and on a volunteer basis for my local community's mental health. And I was awarded that research fellowship, as you heard the dean share. I published twice as a research fellow, and really cool plot twist on my story. You guys remember that military spouse that couldn't get a call back on a resume? Well, here I was designing health communication initiatives, a subject matter expert for the military, and helping to deliver that to 2-star generals. Talk about finally making my way up to the top. That was pretty fun. Well, this journey is not without obstacles, right? It's not perfect, it's perfectly imperfect. And we did keep moving. So I am in a new position, been there for about 2 years now, military family friendly company, so super appreciated that one. But I'm in this leadership position for this healthcare technology company called Vita Health. And in this role, I can be innovative, and we are just, changing the way that we are solving Medicare and Medicaid high-risk member populations, saving health plans thousands of dollars, and at the same time impacting thousands of lives around the United States. It is impactful, rewarding, and fun. So it has been a crazy, wild ride, this journey of mine. And I know that last year was a crazy, wild ride for all of us. Life kept happening on top of the pandemic. I don't know about you, but I had other obstacles pop up. I got diagnosed with a precancerous state of my stomach. I had my dad diagnosed with cancer, and all sorts of things that just, the challenges, they just kept coming. So what do we do when we are here? What do we do when life keeps handing us difficult moments? Well, that's exactly why I wrote my book, because we all need a simple and realistic way to take our challenges on. We have no energy or time when we are facing an obstacle, so let's optimize it. For the remainder of today's presentation, I will share the 5 simple steps. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and get started with the art of breaking through. I'm going to be upfront again with you, how to be successful with this framework. A couple of things. We need to keep it simple. That simplicity is essential. So that's our easy part, 5 steps. We're going to complete 5 brief exercises specific to your challenge. And that's the not so easy part, because facing and talking about our own challenges can be a little uncomfortable. I get that. Finally, we do have to put this system into practice, but I do promise you that is where the magic happens. It starts as 5 steps, but you can probably get it down to about 3. And it truly takes only minutes of your time. So let's jump into our first step and get you that simple solution to tap into your inner greatness anytime you need it. As we work through the steps and exercises, you'll notice my handy dandy little infographic there on the upper right-hand corner. And I know there's probably some people here who love their infographics, being it's Health Sciences School of Public Health. You know, we love these things. So this will remind us of our 5 steps as we work through the presentation. Step 1 is define. Define your challenge and why you want to break through. And the bottom line here is that simply knowing why we want to overcome our obstacles will make all of the difference. So, exercise 1. Think of a challenge that's currently on your heart, one that you're facing, or an obstacle that you can foresee this spring semester. And then start to think, what does breaking through this challenge mean to you? And your why can change. And, you know, even when I was in that capstone course and in that moment of, it was challenging to finish that degree with my husband away. And I used to say the reason why I wanted to finish my degree was for my kids. That's what I heard other moms say. So I was like, that sounds really good. Yeah, I'm doing this for my kids. I want to be an example for them. But let me tell you, when I was, you know, without my husband, trying to manage the kids and my degree, saying I was doing it for the kids was not very motivating. So it wasn't until I realized that I wanted this degree for the ability to impact the world outside of my family. That's when I felt that energetic spark to drive on. So your why may change throughout the process of overcoming your challenge, but all that matters is that it means something to you. So I hope you have a why in mind. Step 2, we're going to create an I'm a badass list. And the bottom line with this one is, you know, every moment that you've overcome a challenge or obstacle in your life already, it's a reminder of how awesome and badass you already are. So I want us to write down some of those things. When you guys saw my slide with the career obstacles, that's my career I am a badass list. But I want you to think a little bit more broadly. List a couple of times in your life when you were proud of yourself for being awesome. When have you already accomplished something that you didn't think was possible? Maybe you've already overcome a challenge as a byproduct of this pandemic. Or you can think back to physically daunting tasks that you've already completed. Did you take on a physical challenge like completing a Spartan race? Maybe you were terrified to, you know, climb the ropes to the top of the tower and you faced that fear of heights. Maybe you've completed a really challenging physical hike, or you can kick it all the way back old school to high school and one of those high pressure sports events where everything was on the line, but you held it together and you performed for your team. Think, what challenging life circumstances have you already overcome? Have you faced a fear of public speaking? Maybe you've switched career or degree paths, and you've maybe built up the courage to discuss difficult topics with someone you love. And I can tell you from experience, those last two, they can go hand in hand. From someone who's, you know, switched career majors many times. I had to tell my parents that I was switching degrees again, and, you know, building up that courage to tell them was not easy. So I get it. Those two, they go together. But, you know, hopefully you have a couple moments in your life that you have in mind that you can add to this list. And I want you to add to this over time with each new challenge you overcome, and build and reflect on this awesomeness. Because I guarantee you, when you stop to think about it, there are many times in your life when you've been a badass. Moving on to step 3, we're going to identify some go-to phrases. So why you want a go-to phrase? When you are experiencing moments of discouragement and defeat, what are you going to tell yourself to make it through? What is that inner dialogue going to be? Having these go-to phrases ready is going to make all the difference. So how do we find a go-to phrase? From your badass list, I want you to choose 1 or 2 of your favorite moments. And we're going to think through the things that you said to yourself during the most difficult parts of overcoming that challenge. As an example, you heard me say finding a job when my massage license didn't transfer. That was a badass career moment for me. So what did I really say to myself when I'm sitting there in upstate New York? It's negative 70 degrees outside, inches of snow, and here I am putting resume after resume and not getting a call back. It was pretty, literally, very dark at times up there. So, what was I saying to myself? I said, I will help empower others to live a vibrant, healthy life. You heard me say that's a favorite go-to phrase of mine. I said, take just one more step in the right direction. And there was a quote, the master in the art of living does not separate work and play. I loved that. So I had it on a sticky note, and that was my reminder. Those are things that I said to push through that upstate New York experience. Another badass moment of mine, overcoming a fear of public speaking. Ooh, this one. I was that girl in high school speech class that you couldn't understand. I was mid panic attack behind that podium, shaking. And no, even my speech teacher said, honey, I'm sure that was a beautiful presentation, but I didn't know what you were saying. So I get it. That one's, whew. What have I said to myself to overcome this fear, this true fear? Well, over time, in those high anxiety moments before I present, the things I say to push through are, what's the worst that could happen? And then I answer my own question and I say, if I bomb it, at least I'm moving again. Because, that is a side perk of being a military spouse. Ultimately, I may not see these people again. And, my favorite thing to say before I present, before I walk through the doors of the building that I'm about to give my presentation, I just roll my shoulders back. I stand up tall and I say, I got this. It's simple, but it means something to me and it works. So looking at your inner dialogue for any of your badass moments, is there something that you say that is your favorite? What are your I can do anything, phrases? What is your go-to phrase? Hopefully you have one that you can apply to your current challenge. But I understand this is probably one of the most difficult steps. So let's troubleshoot. If you can't think of a go-to phrase, you can use a favorite quote or inspiring words from a friend or mentor. For example, when I was in my research or my MPH practicum experience, my mentor said to me, she said, you have a superpower. When challenges present themselves, you have the unique ability to problem solve as the problem reveals itself. You do not stumble. Know this is your superpower wherever you go. Wow. You better bet that I use that as a go-to phrase. To this day, in my career, when I'm presented with a complex challenge or my teams aren't getting along at work, I go back to, nope, this is my superpower. I can take this on. So use something that someone said to you. Are there any compliments that just meant the world to you? You can also, when in doubt, keep things simple and easy to remember. And I would recommend this for any of those high anxiety moments or if you're taking on a physically painful challenge, because I can tell you as a competitive runner, I need something super simple when I'm in the heart of trying to PR a race. It's physical pain and I am not going to remember something complicated. So I use, I got this. That's my favorite race day reminder, go-to phrase. Over time, each challenge you face, you'll identify new go-to phrases. They're going to most likely change for each new type of obstacle. And as you add to your I am a badass list, you will have many options to choose from. You will find those go-to phrases that work best for you. So hopefully you have a go-to phrase in mind for your current challenge. Step 4 is rehearse. And the bottom line is taking the time to rehearse is going to help you to ensure that you break through your challenge with confidence and ease. So you're probably thinking, how the heck do we rehearse? And a few times per week, we are going to rehearse being awesome. I will start with describing a way that you can visualize, a very simple way. And I know by saying the word visualize, I probably lost some of you already, right? Not your thing, I get it. So bear with the little visualization example, and I have some alternative solutions as well. But, cutting edge performance, you'll hear pro athletes talk about visualization, senior leaders in organizations. Here's a super simple way to get started. I want you just to take 1 to 2 minutes, 1 to 2 times per week, and try to walk through this process. I want you to think about the experience of the most difficult parts of overcoming your journey. What does that look and sound and feel like? Then picture yourself saying your go-to phrase. What does that feeling of knowing you're strong and capable feel like? What does being victorious look, sound, and feel like? Breaking through that challenge. It's a brief little practice to try. And I'll give you an example. When I think of my challenge to overcome and reverse my diagnosis of osteoporosis, it's a long road ahead. And I know ultimately the most disheartening thing for me is going to be that lab work and those lab and test results when they come back, if they don't show the progress that I'm hoping to achieve. That really has potential to derail my motivation. So my go-to phrase is, I am strong, I am capable, and I know how. And I think of myself getting that lab work and saying that in that moment. And I know ultimately, I took the University of Massachusetts research methods class, so I will dive into the literature, I will find a solution, and I will come to my doctor with an alternative approach to try, because I'm strong, I'm capable, and I know how. And it feels darn good to know that. So I picture that whole little scene, and that's my visualization. But as I said, I get some people quite don't want to start with that. As an alternative idea, we can place go-to phrase sticky note reminders around our home or office in a place that will see them. When you see it, take a deep breath and say that go-to phrase out loud. During my high-risk pregnancies, I had to continuously eat well and drink all the water and do all the things to keep me and my baby healthy. So I kept a go-to phrase sticky note that just said, take one more step in the right direction. And that was the way that I practiced and rehearsed in that scenario. Finally, you can set a daily reoccurring go-to phrase reminder on your phone. I have one that goes off every day at 11. It says, make today loving, impactful. Because I know especially in this pandemic world, I have virtual school, virtual work, life, the day has potential to go downhill. I expect obstacles to appear. So I have that reminder and I say it out loud, and it brings me back to how strong and capable I am, no matter how crazy the day gets. So I hope you have in mind a way that you will choose to rehearse being awesome. Commit to just maybe 1 or 2 times a week for just a few minutes of your time. And the key with rehearsing, the reason why you want to do it is because when you are in those moments of discouragement and defeat, you will know how to break through because you have rehearsed it time and time again. All right, we've made it through 4 steps. Final step is share your game plan. And sharing your game plan will help solidify this game plan that you just created to break through all of the dark moments that might appear in your journey. How do we share? All that matters is that you share in a way that means something to you. So I was an introvert for most of my life, and I often shared just by journaling. So I get it. You can share with yourself and write in a journal, or tell one close friend. You can also passively share. And what I mean by this is you just mention your go-to phrase as a part of a conversation. So when my dad was admitted to the ICU and everyone was asking me about my challenge, he had been diagnosed with cancer. I had had my own pre-cancerous diagnosis. It was just a crazy time in my life. So I didn't necessarily feel like sharing my whole game plan with people. But when they asked me about my challenge, I simply worked into the conversation, but I can be a light in this darkness. That was my go-to phrase. And when I said it out loud, others realized that that was my intention. So they supported that too. And it worked out really well to have some additional support just when I needed it. And you can directly ask a friend to remind you of your go-to phrase when you need it. So example with this one, my training buddy and I, we actually share our go-to phrases before we compete. So when we're racing, my go-to phrase is, as you heard me say, I got this. and she loves just breathe. So we'll look over to each other when we're both really hurting in the race. And I say, just breathe. And she says, you got this. And it's like a turbo booster of energy to know, wait, yeah, I do got this. It's that reminder, and I needed it in the heart of facing this challenge, right? But I also tell my husband, so he can, scream it from the sidelines, and I just kind of smile as much as a little bit of a smile, like, yeah, of course I got it, right? But, sharing with people, it amplifies your level of commitment and your ability to succeed. So think of one way that you will share your go-to phrase. And when you actually share, come back and write it down. That right there is your 5 steps. Wasn't too painful, right? You now have a simple system, a way to confidently take on any challenge that life brings your way. I want you to practice the system, make it your own, and you will be ready. What can you expect for long-term results? You'll practice, and over time, it'll take you just minutes to work through the steps. And you'll know those go-to phrases that will carry you through, and you'll find those ways to share and rehearse that work for you. Ultimately, you will be a pro at focusing on how strong and capable you are, even during those most difficult parts of your journey.